All right, what's going on, fam, again? All right, behind me is a cone of learning that was created by Dale Edgar in 1969 in his book, The Audiovisual Methods of Teaching. So I grabbed hold of this when I was a young minister in Adrian, and it is very effective. It helped me understand my way of learning. And honestly, this is the way everyone should learn, okay, especially inside the church circle. So I drew this a diagram that I got out the book to show the type of teaching that the church needs to have effective discipleship and the manifestation of God's kingdom on earth only through the reading of the word. So this is the cone of learning, okay, and it has different categories broken down. It has the percentage of retention when learning, and it has the different types of receiving and activity. So there's passive learning, and then there's active learning. Okay, and so when we look at pertaining to say reading, we only retain 10% of what we read. Okay, and that's meaning that you're reading silently. You're not talking, you're just reading silently. We only retain 10%. And we all know what happens when we read silently. Okay? All right, so, and then next, hearing words. Hearing someone talk and you don't say a word. You're just listening to them talk. You only retain 20% of what we hear. That's why what you say in smaller time is better. You don't need to be long-winded. And forgive me if I'm long-winded. All right? And so, and looking at this board, you only retain 30% of what you see. So if you don't take a picture of this, you can scan this all you want, right? But if you don't take a picture of it, and even if you take a picture of it, in your mind, you're only going to retain 30% of anything that I say. So the most important things that I say, that's what you're going to hold on to, and everything else you're just going to forget. And that's what that is. That's when you read, hearing words, and looking at pictures, okay? That's called verbal receiving and visual receiving. It's passive learning. You don't learn much. You only learn up to 30%. And then a test, that's fail. And so we retain 50% of what we hear and see. That means sitting in the audience and watching a movie or a documentary or YouTube or whatever. Looking at an exhibit, okay, where there's visual and audio, watching a demonstration where there's video and audio, and seeing it done on location where there's visual and audio. You're only going to retain up to 50%, okay, and it's still considered passive learning. It's still inside the verbal receiving and visual receiving, which is passive. Okay, so now we get on into 70% of what we say. So when you're reading a book and you're reading it out loud, you can retain up to 70%. If you're reading the newspaper, whatever it is that you're reading, but yet you're saying it out loud, or it's something that you learned or saw and you begin to speak it, whatever it is that you saw, now you begin to retain it up to 70%, right? Because here you see participating in a discussion. Participating in a discussion, you retain 70%, okay? Because now you're engaged, you're dialoguing with other people, you're hearing what they say, you're retaining it, and you're formulating things in your own mind, and you're engaged. And so whatever the topic is, because of your involvement and engagement, you retain up to 70%, okay? Giving a talk. You have a group of people and you're giving a talk, but again, it's a discussion, okay? Me giving a talk, you're going to retain, okay? And so now, and that moves you down into the active of receiving and participating. Okay, so you're receiving information, and then you're asking questions about the information, and then you can, once you get to the understanding, you retain it. Okay, when you're in a passive mode and you're not outwardly speaking, then you're retaining less, less. Okay, so 90% of retention is done when we say and do. So it's almost like this. Like this fan. I just bought this fan from my office a couple days ago, but it came in a box, unassembled. I had zero knowledge on it. I read the instructions out loud, I laid the pieces out, and I put it together. And I did it. I spake it, and I did it. And I retained it. And I don't even need the instructions to put it together again. Because I can get up to 60% done, off of memory and get the rest done, because I retained it by doing it, being active. And that may have been, but even in the profession, professionals, right? A lawyer says he's a lawyer, and he does law. You see what I'm saying? So when we are retaining, so anyway, I ran off on something when I should have just stuck to this board. But see, 90% of what we say and do. So doing a dramatic presentation, okay, that means participating in the play, participating in anything to where there's a script. Script you have to memorize, okay? There's lines to be learned. You have to learn everyone else's line. And on top of that, there's physical acting involved. So you have to rehearse over and over. Get the script down. Matter of fact, before you even get to the physical part, you have to get the mental part down of memorizing your lines and memorizing other people's lines that you're involved in scenes. So that's right there. Doing a dramatic presentation. You're being very active. Receiving and participating. Active. Okay? Another, simulating the real life experience. That's another simulation. All it is acting, simulation, acting. So once again, there's line scripts that you have to memorize. There's rehearsal. There's other people involved. And say, throw music in, right? For the musicians. Man, they have to read the notes. They have to know those things. They have to be the professional that they are, right? So simulating the real thing, right? And now doing the real thing. That's just being active. And this is what we do. This is where the word comes in now. See, the word can't be manipulated any longer. We have to get to the point where we're not just reading verses, okay? We're actually reading everything that the King is instructing us to do, and not just read it out loud, but then by faith we have to start doing it. We have to start walking by faith. This Bible. No interpretations, no diluting. Take for what it is, for real. It will work. I don't know why we pick and choose this word. We have to stay and see, we'll get the results. We will get the results, people. This is the way we need to learn. So, church needs to change their format, because their current format, people are not retaining, man. People are not retaining just listening to the pastors talk. You guys talk too much. You guys get too emotional. We are in a teaching dispensation. We have to get people here to where we're doing the word. So we take the focus off the pastor and his family, and we put it back on the people. You turn the pastor. See, doing it this way, pastors become servant leaders, not leaders that's being served. Most pastors teach you to serve them in their personal ambition, right? So we have to get to the point where we're doing the word, not a person's parent. That's where all conflict arises. When you get to a point where you don't agree with this man's or this person's personal ambition, and conflict arises. Like, yo, this is not on the word, man. This is your personal ambition. You want to be a celebrity. You want to be popular and known and loved. Man, we're supposed to love each other. We're supposed to be hated by those outside because of what we do. But we have no impact right now because we're not saying and doing what the word is. We have to get back to here, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Look what God has given us. He has exposed everything. He's exposed every last human being on earth. He has sent waves of confusion through here to where, for me, when I looked in the mirror, I realized, I am not prepared for situations like this. Why? Because I am not self-sufficient. Why? Because I had to wait on Kroger's, Myers, and all them other stores to tell me when I can come and purchase food. I didn't have chicken. I didn't have livestock. I didn't have fields of corn and wheat and lettuce and things growing out in the field. I didn't have any of that to where I had more than enough to give around to everyone in the community. And imagine that everyone in the community was doing that, man, it's bartering all day long. You know what I mean? Or sharing all day long. You got the bread, I got the hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? That concept. Get together and you have hot dogs, you have a barbecue. But that's the point we need to get to. That was my exposure. Society is exposed. Look, the church, everyone was exposed. Everyone's weakness was exposed. And the church specifically was exposed because your teaching is not producing any disciples. It's not. And it's because it's the way you have it designed. You just have them to keep on going. You don't want to get to this point. Why? I have no idea. Pride, ego, greed, I have no idea. Because once we get to this, your wallet will shrink. But you will have enough to suffice for the day. That's what I'm saying. It's kingdom. It's kingdom. But anyway, this is it here. Man, there's still a process. I'm not saying live as, we're supposed to be poor, but the kingdom is not poor. Everyone, commonwealth. Anyway, but this is the teaching. And you understand if y'all start teaching them and get here. We have to get here. Active learning. Receiving and participating. Bible study. Church. This is how church needs to be. Church needs to be, everyone comes in with their Bible, notepad, pen, you know what I'm saying? And if the minister steps up and open up the book to chapter 1, verse 1, and start reading, right? And matter of fact, he don't read. He just calls out people. Boom, you over there. All right, you read the next 10 verses. You read the next 10 verses. Next 10 verses. Now, everybody's on high alert because they don't know when you're going to call them. And you guys are reading the entire, and guess what? After you read the chapter, Q&A. Because you're taking notes like, oh, what did he say there? And Q&A. Then you start to dissect. Let not just you dissect it, hear everyone else who has an explanation. Because I guarantee you, there's people in the audience that are full of the word. That's full of the word. Okay? So then you start to select them. So, I'm running long, 12 minutes. Man, I wanted to make about a 7-minute video. So this is the learning curve cone. Okay? And the way we need to learn is here. If I say and do. All right? All right, I'm cutting it. Peace. Love you guys.